We are back on a Tuesday night on Open Line, everybody. Rhori Johnston with you. Jeff Eller is our guest from the group No Tax for Tracks. We're taking your phone calls at 737+. No Tax for Tracks is a group that opposes the Let's Move Nashville plan. It is up for a vote. Davidson County voters will vote shortly. Actually, early voting now underway, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. A record number of people have been turning out to vote, so it's an important issue. We've heard from Darius. Now let's go to line one again and talk to David. Hi, David. Welcome.
Hey, Rhori, thanks for taking the call, brother.
You're welcome.
Listen, I've been against this thing since I first heard, but I've been in Nashville most of my life. I was graduated in 78, and even before that, this town has grown, and it's just unbelievably hard to deal with. The traffic is worse than it's ever been. We don't need, if you look at the transit system, the way it is now, nobody rides these buses. We got a transit system that not even half anybody uses. If you watch, they just got empty buses running routes and maybe 2 or 3 people on it. That's what I've noticed. They're not using this transit system, so why would they want to spend $9 billion to do this and tie up traffic, tie up everything else? Now, I'm kind of like, I've heard a lot of different ideas, but it's not going to do the city any good. It's going to be a waste of money, and I think a pretty good idea. It might sound kind of rough, but I mean, how about just a straight bypass that you could get from 65 south to 65 north if you're not going to stop here, if you're not coming in here. Just do it on, because this is a hub. 3 interstates go through here, and that's kind of a mistake anyway, because that just puts everything right in the center. It brings a lot of business and a lot of money and everything, and that's great, and that's what we ought to have. But when it comes to this traffic now, I mean, just a bypass to hook up either one for people that are not going to stop here. Somehow get that built. I think it would cost a whole lot less. And 35 to 40% of the traffic coming in are people that's not going to stay here or stop here anyway. They're just passing through. That's where a lot of that traffic comes from. But that's just my opinion. And I appreciate you taking the call. I hope it made sense and I didn't act too foolish. But that's just... No,
all right. No, David, we appreciate your input, and thanks for taking the time to call in. We'll listen to what Jeff has to say.
Bypass would have to be an effort between the city and the state. Yeah. But, that was the original intent of 440, was to help bridge a gap from 24 coming north to flip over to 40 going west, and to some degree it did help, but they haven't done a very good job of keeping that up, and nothing in this plan helps I-440 either. So I've seen maps where there's a northern bypass that takes 40, kind of diverts 40 on the top and does some 65 and 24 bridging, but that'd have to be a discussion with the state.
The loop around downtown Nashville, which is a combination of interstates, obviously, that seems to be a really super highly congested area all the time. I
was on it tonight, and yeah, it was tough.
What in this plan addresses, in your mind, any of that, or none of it?
I don't think much of anything in this plan addresses what you see when you come 40 and 24 trying to get over to 65 and all of that. It addresses what's under it.
Under it, yeah.
But there's no direct connection between what's on top and what will be down under, and there's the disconnect.
On their literature, they talk the Let's Move Nashville literature. They talk about the frequent transit network and. They call it a highly efficient light rail, including to the airport, and also right in their literature they say it would provide more and better transportation options to our elderly, disabled, youth, and disadvantaged citizens.
Well, I'm gonna pull a page from one of the guys that works in our campaign, Jeff Carr, who says his 87-year-old mother will live a mile from what is even on the map, and how is she going to get from her house to the light rail or to an express bus? And so they will offer incentives to senior citizens and disabled, and that's a good thing to do that. But it's also going to be a question of, can those groups actually get to it to be able to use it? One of the things that will happen if this economic development around these stations that they want to happen is, it will push those people who are struggling today even further away from them.
Let's go back to the phones now. On line 3, we have Jason. Hey, Jason.
Hello. Yeah. Several, 2 or 3 things.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. 2 or 3 things. One, I am against the light rail because that's a barrier for people who are $45,000 a year. Sales tax is too high for people, seniors, like senior citizens can't afford it. People like myself with disability can't afford sales tax going up. And there's a plan B that a councilman suggested, and we need to really widen the roads, like especially like between from Charlotte, between White Bridge Road to Old Hickory Boulevard. The road narrows from 4-lane to 2-lane highway. A road on Charlotte between White Bridge and Old Hickory Boulevard. We need to really widen that road.
Where do you live? What part of town, Jason?
Pardon me?
Are you out on the west side?
I live in West Nashville.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an issue for you. Let's talk to Jeff about that. So he has issues with cost.
And with good reason. This will give Nashville, if it passes, a 10.25% sales tax. And that will be the highest sales tax of any major city in the U.S. We know without a lot of dispute, sales tax are regressive. They hurt those who can't afford them the least. So if you're a senior citizen, you're on a fixed income, you're disabled, you're on a fixed income, or if you're just in that place and time in your life where you're not making a lot of money and you're kind of doing the month-to-month thing, which we've all been there at some point, this is going to slam you really hard. And 10.25% sales tax is a pretty big
now with
leap.
the sales tax though, and supporters of the plan will say a lot of visitors and tourists will be paying that sales tax and paying into it.
They will, but look, they say that almost half of the cost of this plan will be borne by people who come to visit. Well, that's fine. We actually think their number's a little high, but even if their number's high, if you live in Davidson County, you're going to pay the sales tax whether the cost is borne by, or whether the total cost is borne by somebody else or not. This doesn't mean if half the cost comes from somebody coming from outside the county, that means every other time you go to buy clothes you get a pass. You don't. You're going to pay 10.25% regardless of how many other people come and visit or not. You live in Davidson County, you're going to pay the sales tax.
Right. All right, Jason, thank you. Let's go to Bob on line 4. Hi, Bob. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, go ahead.
I just want to say that this plan is bad. I mean, we need a plan, but we don't need a bad plan. So this tunnel and transit from 5th and Broad to Charlotte, that's a joke. Are you kidding me? It's more about who's getting what. If you look at the traffic problem, it's 24's jam, 40's jam, 65 south, north jam. We got bicycle lanes and nobody rides bicycles. We got roads that we can't get turned. There's no turning lanes. These grassy mediums. We can spend this money so much better, so much less. This is a joke. I don't know who come up with this plan, but it's the same thing as I-24 coming on to 440. Whoever's in charge of that ought to be fired. Come sunrise in the morning, those potholes, people are dodging them. There's cars everywhere. Whoever's in charge of that ought to be fired in the morning. This is ridiculous. And you're just wasting money. This is not going to fix the problem. I don't know who's come up with this idea, but it's just a bad idea.
All right, let's listen in. I think you're going to agree with him.
Here's what he said prompted me to think one kind of definite issue that could be accomplished without any plan or sales tax. The city has long said they need to synchronize traffic lights. They haven't. They could. They haven't. It doesn't take a 55-page plan. It doesn't take a 10.25% sales tax. It doesn't take a hotel motel tax to do what you should do as part of your job. And they have talked over and over again about the need to synchronize traffic lights. And when it's done right, it really does help. And they can't seem to do it. So the people who can't sync your traffic lights want to spend $9 billion on a light rail plan. It seems like a stretch.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break again, everybody. We got a lot of callers in, as expected. Hang in, be patient. When we come back from the break, we will get right back to your phone calls. Stay with us.